Hello and welcome to this video. This time we're going to do nothing. Instead, I'm going to talk about 4 things that I consider good habits when you first start in Blender or any other application. These are only recommendations and by no means it's something that you must do all the time. Meanwhile, I'll be doing a small project. The first recommendation that I can tell you is never skip the basics. Skipping the basics most of the time means that you will be having simple problems that you won't be able to solve. I know basics of any applications could be boring, but believe me, skipping the basics because you want to make a great project right from the beginning will give you tons of headaches. And also, if you seek for help over some forums, it will be hard for you to express what you want to achieve and the issue that you're having because you don't know the proper terminology or the name of the tools. And your questions could be something like, how can I make this by moving this thing that looks like this other thing? That kind of questions are very confusing and most of the times you won't be getting any answers. My second recommendation is read the manual. Once you have the basic knowledge, the next thing to do if you're serious about learning something is to read the manual. My main background is using Cinema 4D and Maya. I got certifications, online tutorials, online courses, and so. But even with all that time invested, sometimes I came across things that I couldn't understand or settings that I didn't know how to use. One time I was looking to solve a problem using Cinema 4D and it occurs to me to check the Cinema 4D manual. I started reading the manual and I learned so much that I didn't know, even with all the courses. I found the solution to my problem there and I learned to use the settings that I didn't know, especially with particles. I made a video about that and it's called Thinking Particles Blind Path. I learned that from the manual and the examples that they have. Now, when I started Blender, because I already know the basics of a 3D application, one of the first things that I did was to read the online manual. I have to say that Blender's manual is not very friendly and it's more from technical perspective, but it's very useful and that helped me to start with Blender, and searching for help and tutorials was easier because of that. The third recommendation is never compare your work with a more experienced user. Every time you make something, especially when you're using a 3D application, is to be proud of your projects, but never compare your work saying that it's better than others or worse than others. Everyone has a different learning speed, and yes, there are a lot of talented people that can achieve marvelous things right from the beginning. And that doesn't mean you're bad, it just means that you need to practice more. I recently started some videos of me practicing 3D sculpting. Every time I have a moment to practice, I'm doing it in a live stream to force myself to do it, because it's really hard for me to make something good with sculpting, and this is also a good way for me to track my progress. I'm doing my best and I never compare that with an amazing sculpture from another artist because it's hard to keep a motivation if you think, I will never gonna be that good. The fourth recommendation that I have is take your time to learn. If you're watching video tutorials, one of the best things to do is to watch the video from start to end without doing it. Just follow the video with your mind and imagine yourself doing it so you can keep an eye on the process. And then put the video again and do it with the video, pausing the lesson at any point. Another thing included here is that you should never take a lesson as mandatory or as the only way to do something. If you take your time to learn an application, the experience will give you a different perspective and a different way to do the same thing as in the video tutorial. And the last recommendation is don't be lazy. This is a recommendation because I'm seeing a lot of videos, especially for Blender, and some tutors say, let's be lazy, it's okay to be lazy. Do it like this even if it's wrong or dangerous. Try not to do that. There is a big difference in saving time by searching things correctly and being lazy. Imagine that you need to make a scene and you're still learning modeling, but you know how to light and render correctly. You could download or buy the assets and make your scene for that project. That's good. Now, imagine yourself doing a project, but instead of 4 clicks to make a model, you want to ask if there is a way to make a model with 1 click and without moving the mouse. That's lazy, and believe me, I've seen forums with questions like that. And those are all the recommendations that I have for you. I hope you like this video. Support the channel with your likes, dislikes, comments, shares, and I will see you next time. Bye.